Jonathan Jones, CBS Sports, and right here, a mountain of a man and offensive tackle, New York Jets offensive tackle, Morgan Moses. Morgan, first of all, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So I have to know this first. You played last season, the entire season with a torn pec?
Yeah, since week 4. So I tore it week 4 against Cleveland, tore the rest of it week 7, and played the whole season with it.
Okay, how?
Man, just like when you go through training camp with your guys and you build that bond and that camaraderie with your guys, man, like that's the hardest part of the football season is going through training camp and making it through it and putting the team together. So you never want to be that guy that, like, you know, throws in the towel too early, because you understand the team that you got, the teammates that you depend on, the teammates that depend on you, and you don't want to let them down. So that's just kind of been my motto my whole career.
So you had off-season surgery. And has it been a week or so that you've been able to be back at practice, you know, fully going, no limitations? What's that been like these last few days?
Man, it's been fun, man. I told somebody the other day, man, actually Tyron helped me out because he saw me in the weight room before practice, and I was like, dude, I can't remember anything in the playbook. And I was like, yo, it doesn't matter how old you are, how many years you got, how many snaps you didn't taken. It's a childhood game, man. You still get those game day jitters, and but just to be back out there with the team and run around with the guys and just build that camaraderie on the offensive line and that chemistry throughout the whole team. Being a veteran guy, it's always fun, man. So being able to be back out there with those guys and enjoy the grind, you know, that's the thing. Being able to enjoy the grind with your guys has been a blessing.
I know you weren't here last year, obviously, but this was an offensive line that, you know, struggled a little bit last season. A lot of different areas on the team struggled. Is there a mentality with this year's group, whether they were here last year or not, that, no, we're changing the dynamic, we're changing the narrative on the Jets offensive line?
I mean, 100%, man. You don't make changes like, you know, you get John Simpson in free agency, you pick up Tyron in free agency, trade for myself, and then, you know, AVT, man, I played with him when he was a rookie, and just to see him to be able to focus on one position, you know, he's been a guy that's been able to move around, and also the younger guys like Max Mitchell and Carter Warren, and just see that, you know, when you get veterans in the room that are willing to be selfless and talk football with those guys, how the energy of the room raises. So it's just not one of us, man. It's just a collective group of guys that are going out there and working. You know, we lean on Joe Tippmann as our center,
sure,
to get things called and things like that. And then, you know, he communicates with Aaron a lot, so his IQ is raising as well. So when you got 5 = 1, man, the sky's the limit.
You mentioned how you worked with AVT his rookie year.
Yep.
You were here in 2021. Now you're back here in 2024. From a franchise perspective, what's different? What's new about this place?
The energy, man. Like, you know, I think I said this in 21 when I was here. I mean, like, winning was around the corner for us as a team and as an organization. It was just about getting the right players to fit that mentality that Coach Salo was trying to bring in. You looked at that draft class that he brought in that next year with Brees and Garrett and Jermaine and all those guys that came in, and you're like, I can't forget Sauce, right? Like,
right.
And like he brought those guys, and it changed the mentality of the organization and as a team. And so now going a step forward, you know, you got Aaron, and you know what happened last year was a bummer to everybody. But then you come back around and you shore up the offensive line. So we're headed in the right place, and obviously we can sit here and play the paper champ like everybody wants to. But like at the end of the day, we got to go out there every day and put something together and just get 1% better every day. And that's what we've been doing. We've been striving just to compete against ourselves. A great defense out there every day, and obviously Aaron with his IQ of football, he you know, he stresses the defense out every day,
sure,
you know, and so he demands greatness out of all of us. And I think when you can do that, man, you the old saying of iron sharpens iron. But that's literally what we're doing every day.
When you talk about Aaron, have you ever blocked for a guy like Aaron? And are there any sort of unique nuances to having to? Obviously, you just come from Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
Where you did, right? I know. I felt like that was what was going on in your head. Yeah, it was unique blocking for Lamar. But like an Aaron, are there certain things that he likes? Or there, like, how are you dealing with blocking for him?
I think the thing for everybody in this offense, and not just me, is that like he sees things so much clearer and so much faster than anybody else on the field. It's like having a coach on the field, and he's a guy that demands excellence out of everybody. You know, I've seen him pull people to the side and say, hey, I want this at this. And, like, look, you only got one shot to get it right.
Yeah.
For him, he's going to move on to the next guy. But, like...
Has he pulled you off to the side yet?
No, not yet. Thank God. But like just like going up to coming from the huddle into the line of scrimmage, him seeing the safety rotations, the defense that they're in, and then he gets you in a whole different play and it's set hut and go. It's that mentality of like, all right, as an offensive player, I need to be able to see the things that he sees so I can be on the same page.
You better remember the playbook.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's pretty cool, man, because you get a group of guys, a group of young guys too, in the receiving core. Obviously you got Garrett who's taking over that room, but you got a group of guys that are willing to learn and meet the expectations of a great leader.
What's it been like going up against this defensive front every day here at practice?
It's challenging. It was like that when I was here in 2021, man. What Coach Sala asks is that front seven to do every day and go out there and just play fast and with a flawless intent. It challenges us every day as an offense and up front because we know we're going to get their best every day, and so we have to bring our best to the table every day. Finally we got another team coming in here tomorrow, so we'll be able to take some frustration out and see where we can do with that. But like it's a challenge every day because we're going against a top 3 defense every day. We're going, they're going against studs every day as well, and we're obviously as an offensive line making a name for ourselves. We're making a mentality in our room, just not to be punching bags, but to go out there and challenge them every day. And when you can do that, you get the best out of both groups.
Do you feel, Morgan, the pressure here? That's 13 years since they made the playoffs. I know you talked about when you were here in 21 that winning was right around the corner. Winning has to be now here. Do you feel that pressure?
I'm not gonna say I feel the pressure, man. Obviously we got a lot of great teammates and a lot of great guys in this locker room that's willing, and they know what's going on right now. I mean, you just had Quentin up here, right? And
yeah.
I talked. Me and Quentin we've been real good teammates and good friends for a long time. Just not on the field but off the field as well. And like a guy like him who's been here his whole career and hasn't won that much, that's a guy that wants to get it done as well. So it's not just like us veterans that are coming in that are a little older and haven't won the big show yet. It's a mixture of guys that have that same mentality. They're like, hey, it has to happen now. And so that's always in our back of our mind when we go out there every day, is how can we get better to strive for that, just not in practice but week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 of the season. And I think when you have that mentality, you don't have to remind yourself about it because it's already embedded into your system.
Last question for you, Morgan. You have been blessed in your career. Have you ever had to really leave I-95? So you're from the Richmond area, right?
Yeah.
You went to Virginia.
Yep.
You get drafted by Washington.
Yep.
And then you come here.
Yep.
And then you go to Baltimore. And then you come back here. Does anyone get to live their entire NFL career like that?
Nah, it's been a blessing, man. Just be able to be, basically in your backyard, but also be close to family. Be around family. You have that family support. As athletes, everybody knows how hard it is, to be a family man, father, X, Y, and Z football player, and be able to be ready on Sunday as well. So being close to home has always been a good thing. But obviously, being back here is the number one thing for me, is because like I said, man, it's a lot of unfinished business that I feel like I left on the table when I left, and so being able to be back here where my feet is, it's a great feeling.
Unfinished business could probably be the phrase of the 2024 Jets. It certainly is for you. Morgan Moses, thanks so much.